Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. I wanted to jump on and just have a little bit of a chat around the second insight of the Celestine Prophecy, the book by James Redfield. So if you haven't read that yet, probably want to go and either get yourself a copy online or go and raid a bookshop. Secondhand bookshop often have copies of them. But it's a book that's written as fiction. And it's based around the whole spiritual concept and then tapping into universal aspects and understanding how to expand your own awareness and connections to synchronicities and that sort of stuff. So highly recommend that you grab a copy of that and have a bit of a read. I read it a while ago and I keep rotating around to it, and especially when I start doing work with people. So the second insight at the moment is popping up in my face quite prevalent because I feel that the time is now. So in the book, he talks about it being the end of a 1,000-year cycle, and that we're shifting into the new millennia. So if you follow the timeline as presented in the book, we should have actually been shifting into this point 20 years ago. But I somehow feel, and this is only my perception, that we've had that progress slowed down really well by immense distractions. Let's just leave it at that. So the second insight talks about understanding history in order to expand into the present and the future, but understanding it in terms of having a perspective as if you were in it. And then what that leads to. So the guts of it is that in the first part of that time period, so in the thousands, like when we sort of got kicking along, we had that whole medieval period and the preoccupation with the church knowing the answer to everything, with religious men knowing the answers to everything, and that if something happened and it wasn't what you wanted, then God did that for a reason. And if the crops were good, that's because the God was happy, not gods. God was happy, because we're talking about Western world here. And if the crops were bad, then you must have done something bad, and you don't really know how to navigate your way through the world and through what's happening, but the church men do. So you go to the men with the scriptures and they tell you all that sort of jazz. Then what happened was people began to evolve their thinking, and they began to question the church and began to question the churchmen of the time, and all of the corruption started to come out, which has been going for a while, but things that they were doing that didn't match what they said, all of a sudden it became quite prevalent. If I think about what I know now in terms of the astrological alignments, it was probably when we had Pluto shining the light on certain things like what we're switching into now. Anyway, yeah, that lines up. So we switched from a time in history where the people who held the scriptures knew the answers, and that's where we went to for the guidance. And everything in life was based and triggered by God, and there was no other thought process. There was no scientific thought process behind anything. So then we went through that period of time where everything broke. No longer could we think about the world in that way. No longer could we trust what the people who we always trusted were saying. So we were all a bit lost and didn't really know what to do. So we send out people to get us answers. So they were, if you think of it that way, I'm trying my best to keep normal with this, but what's normal, hey? So we sent out people in a search to understand the universe and to come back to us with answers. And in the meantime, we trusted science and we started to rely on science. We think about Da Vinci, Newtonian principles, physics, all of those sort of things. That's where we're getting into historically now, that I'm talking about. And we begin to understand that there's actually a weather pattern, and yes, God may have created some things. However, that's not the reason that the crops failed. Maybe the crops failed because we didn't use enough fertilizer, or perhaps we didn't sow them properly, or something like that. So we started to look at things from a more mechanistic and structural point of view, rather than a quite spiritual, religious way, I guess you'd say. And what we did was we totally threw the baby out with the bathwater, right? So we totally rejected that side of things in the Western modern world, and got ourselves right into the early beginnings of capitalism. Let's just think of it that way. So the wheels began to churn, the hamster wheel began to churn, and we all sort of jumped onto it. Welcome to the material world. So that's a really crude shortcut, but that's my understanding of it. So we got distracted during that modern age. We got distracted by making ourselves comfortable. We got distracted, and it talks about this a lot in the book, about manipulating and exploiting the earth and others for our own gain, for us to live comfortably. We thought that while we're waiting for our explorers to go out and get us all these answers and come back and help us understand the bigger picture, that we might as well make life comfortable. And they didn't return as soon as we thought that they would. So we then lived for a few hundred years making ourselves comfortable, exploiting, manipulating, churning the wheels of capitalism, growing society, evolving, expanding, economic drive, everything pretty much that I see in the country where I live. And if I choose to watch news or listen to that part of society, it's very much still those wheels are turning, okay? It's the material world. And we forgot that we had sent seekers out to find answers for us to link the two together. So way back when, we had that whole spiritual guided side of things. Everything happened because God said it would, or we did something wrong, therefore God's not happy, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And then we go through that material point of view where we control everything. We want more, we get more, we do work, we get money. We have governments that do all this stuff. We have corporations that do all these things. And then, according to the book, what happens is that the seekers return. This is to me, it's exactly what's happening, right? So the seekers return, and they've got answers, and it's not the material world. So now we are at a point where people are becoming disenchanted with the material aspect, and they're asking, what else is there? Is this it? And if you have found yourself sitting there thinking, is this it? Like, fuck, is this all there is to life? You're probably one of the people that are starting to wake up. Or maybe you've been on this, what have I seen a lot? Like, this is not your first rodeo, second or third rodeo. You've been on this horse a few times, and you are excited because you know this time it's going to work, right? What we're looking at now is understanding that that's where we came from. So back in the Dark Ages, medieval ages, all of that time, we thought what we thought and we believed what we believed. Then things happened which began to expose that and rattle that and make us question the way that we thought and what we believed. So then we morphed away from that and we developed into something else. And our way of thinking then became about what was right at that time, what we felt was right, what we thought was right. And again, we go along, we evolve, our line of thought evolves, countries open up, we have aeroplane flight, we have ships before that, ships and boats, and then we have the capacity to fly from one country to another, and things get quicker, and the internet comes along, and we've got all this interaction between everything, and all of a sudden the world opens a lot more. And along with that comes our thought process and questioning again. It's a natural thing. The evolution, exploration, it's a natural thing for a human. So we begin to question. Now, 20 years ago, when we were going through the would the computer turn on thing, because we were going from 1999 into the year 2000, I feel we may have been a little bit hoodwinked, or perhaps we got distracted, and our evolutionary process slowed down, and our questioning of authority also slowed down. And now we're sitting in the mess, and it's broken. But we know that. And based on reflection and understanding from history that we have to go through this exposure time, this transitory time, where we will reject things that we have been believing, or we will totally question things that we have previously strongly believed. We will start to search for a greater answer and wonder what the hell we're doing here, right? What's the purpose? That's where the next stage of evolution comes in for us, and that's where we're shifting. So this second insight is really prevalent right now. I can feel, and I have felt for years anyway, but I can feel that we as a whole, the Western world, is in the place of questioning, is in the place of asking what else is there for starters, and then, do I want to believe this? Is that actually true? Does that feel right for me? So we're beginning to shift, and we're also asking, what's the point? Why am I here? What am I here to do? What's my purpose? And wanting to be in nature more, wanting to look after the environment more, having that whole thing shift from the exploitation and manipulation to a cohabitation, to understanding that if we work together with nature, that things are easier and there's more to share. And you can actually share, it's not just the one person wins type thing. So, big shifts, big changes. This is where we're heading into. This is where we are. You can think about the ostrich with the head in the sand as much as you like, but here we are. So we're entering into a period of massive change, planetary-wise. There's also all the stars are lined up, if you like, for that really big, strong shift, and that started 2 years ago, really, really strongly 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. But what you will probably need to do yourself is to start to understand where you fit. Are you feeling restless? Is there a rumbling within you that there's got to be something more? Are you doubting yourself? Are you doubting others? Are you disbelieving? Are you confused? What's happening? So start to think about that for yourself and journal and write about it. I'm ready to move now or transition into the third insight, and that's pretty cool. I'm quite happy with that. So the way that I work is that I have core reference books. They're textbooks to me. These are not the anatomical textbooks that I have, and the herbal and the plants and everything. It's not that sort of reference material. This is spiritual evolution, development, personal development, metaphysical textbooks, right? So for me, Celestine Prophecy is one of those, and I use it quite a lot as a reference for an understanding of what may be happening around me. Then I also talk a lot about the clan mothers, 13 original clan mothers, so I link them in as well. The other tools that I use are colouring in or a little bit of creativity, but also just absorbing and learning different things. So let me know how you feel. What's happening for you? Is your life broken? Are you recognising the signs? Are you ready to change on? So the other thing that I'll do, I will keep talking about the Celestine Prophecy as a book, but he's written a few other ones, and I've been working through the Celestine Vision, Living the New Spiritual Awareness. So I feel that the second insight relates to chapter 3 in that particular book, which is understanding where we are. So replacing medieval cosmology, the anxiety of lostness, the emergence of science, a materialistic universe, that's where we're sitting at the moment. Now we're shifting into an enlightenment solution, and living the longer now definitely was coming. The fourth chapter in Living the Vision is entering the responsive universe. So the responsive universe is understanding chi, human energy field, potential for human movement, living in a new reality, and moving into experiential living, and just jumping up that level more. This video is quite scattered, and that's okay, because I will do another one. But there are little droplets of knowledge and wisdom that are in there, and I just needed to get back on and do this again. So I hadn't done a video for a while. Life has shifted and changed in my little household again, which signifies to me that we are launching into 15 to 18 months of massive change. And it's going to shift us into that next stage. So watch this space. Let's see what happens, and feel free to share. See ya.